Hello there, it is Volsker and D Square Talk. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am, of course, your host, D Square, and with me, as always, is Volsker. How's it going tonight, Volsker?
It's going pretty damn good, man. Pretty damn good. It's another hot one here in Ohio, but can't complain.
Yeah, it is definitely hot. It's cutting into my fishing here. Fish don't like it when it's hot, but however, I am feeling much better than I did last week. You can even tell on some of my YouTube videos, definitely an energy change, and personally feeling like I'm firing on all cylinders. So
Good
had
shit.
a good week, and we had really two interesting comics that we're going to talk about along with some news. But let me get right into our main topic here, turning the comic world upside down and all around. House of X number 5. That's right, number 5th. Really, I know that I've spent a lot of time breaking down these issues on other Volsker and D Square. And I'm going to really try and do more of a short form because really I'm hoping that people that are listening to this have already read it. So, House of X number 5, the first significant thing is that it was marked as one of the red issues. And we knew right from the get-go that a red issue is going to contain some juicy stuff.
hmm
And this comic does not it does not disappoint. Now, I have some narrative, some editorializing to do, and we'll talk about that. But let me just break down what happens in this issue. There's really three main things that happen in this issue. The first thing is confirmation that I was right, and was that, all the X-Men that had died on that mission, they've all popped, they're all alive again. Okay? And I'm not going to take too much credit because I think a lot of people had talked about the pod people, and so I'm not going to take too much credit there. But what is interesting, where I was wrong per se, is I felt that okay, this is something this had been a process that they had mastered already, but no. It turns out this is like the first time they had done it, at least, which is interesting.
Yeah, it kind of makes you think. The first thing I saw when I saw that was going back to the very first issue, that was a glimpse in the future.
Right. I had that feeling as well, and we see exactly that. And so this comic opens up with kind of Magneto explaining this process to Polaris, which I thought was actually really cool, by the way. So at first though I thought this was a really simple process. Krakoa just spit out these mutants. I had talked about the DNA that Sinister had collected being a part of this, and indeed it was. But it does turn out that this is a more complicated process than I
hmm
originally thought it was going to be.
But hey, it takes one of the most worthless mutants alive and turns him into a hero.
It does. It does. So let's get into that. That's a perfect segue into. So this this resurrection ritual, I'll call it, takes 5 mutants, and they call them the Five. Okay, and so the person that I'm sure Volsker is alluding to is Goldballs.
Fabio Medina.
Right. Now, I'm actually familiar with this character. He was one that was created during Bendis's run, during a Uncanny X-Men. And yeah, he is literally this dude that just shoots gold balls out of his chest. And they've named him Gold Balls. And when I was reading this, he is of course on the second page, and I recognized him immediately. And I was like, because Magneto's giving him this big build-up. Oh, here they come. Oh. And then, gold balls?
My balls dropped.
So, Okay, so he's one of the five, and so what it turns out is instead of just shooting gold balls, now they were of an organic material, and they basically studied to find out that they were eggs. They were dormant, unviable eggs. Okay, that's what gold balls shoots out of his chest.
So,
That's useless mutant number two that Hickman has brought to the forefront. Of course, I'm talking about Cypher.
yeah.
And then, of course, he made Moira McTaggart a mutant, but she was still pretty major nonetheless.
That's funny that you said McTaggart.
Yes, yes, because the next one of the five is Proteus, which is Moira's son, from another man, of course. So we know that Charles Xavier and Moira met, but obviously they were never been an item because, yeah, she ends up having her son Proteus from another guy. Now, Proteus's job here is he is what makes these unviable eggs that Gold Balls shoots out and turns them into viable eggs. They are then injected with the preserved DNA of the mutant. Elixir, who is a pretty well-known mutant healer, he is what kickstarts the life process. A not-so-well-known mutant known as Ava Bell, I believe also written in the Bendis era, who can basically control time, is what brings it of age. That's why they're full-grown humans popping out of these pods.
Yeah, to whatever age. Called, she's dubbed Tempest.
Yes. And so the fifth member is Hope Summers, who is, I'm sure most of you are familiar with, the reason Avengers vs. X-Men started and the Mutant Messiah, what have you. Her only job is to basically get everybody's powers working in unison. And, amplifying them. And so with with those five, they're able to bring a mutant back to life. And so you may ask yourself, well, okay, that's how their body comes back to life. What about their soul? What about their mind? Well, it turns out that the Cerebro that we all know that can basically find any mutant on the face of the earth, that is its secondary function. Its primary function is to basically copy the minds of the mutants. And it also says soul, but, regarding, depends on your religious view.
Yeah.
And that's why I do have a question. I get it. They've explained themselves properly, but literally, these people have come back to life. Professor X has used Cerebro to then implant their minds and their memories, aka their souls, back into their bodies, and they remember everything. It's like they just basically came back to life.
It's pretty damn interesting, and there's a couple things out of this whole process, and a couple people even, before I got to read the issue, complained a couple things that technically Charles Xavier is not an Omega level mutant. Did you know that?
Well, yeah, but only because of the clarification given to us way back in House of X #1, as well as they explained there wasn't really such a thing as an Omega mutant, but mutants with Omega level powers. And they are saying that Xavier his powers are not Omega level. I don't know how on board I am with that. Particularly when he is armed with Cerebro. But yeah, no, I definitely understood that.
Can you imagine him switching places with somebody who has his abilities but at an Omega level?
Yeah, that would be
insane.
Yeah, deadly for sure. Maybe something we deal with all this, because I'm telling you, this whole life transfer, soul transfer, that something's going to go wrong here. And I've even seen some images out there that kind of
Mhm.
show a disturbing scene. Uh,
Well, he kind of actually branching off of that a couple things. Like one with this whole process, we already know one downfall. And if I read correctly, it's Proteus is actually killing himself over and over.
that's why Proteus was a big thing, because yes, he uses his powers and he burns out his body, but they have developed a way to just make new bodies for him.
Which that is insane. And two, they also mentioned that this process also allows them to mimic other mutants
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
do extensions, stand-ins, which makes me wonder if they're going to be able to like literally have somebody replace another mutant and just act as their person, like replacing them with another character that actually
Right.
portrays them, and the
Right.
fact that they can also upgrade a mutant's abilities. What
It,
the fuck?
well, no, I mean exactly. We start to see how maybe that that war timeline came about. So there's definitely a lot of questions here. I have a lot of so really here's a couple of things that I'm like that came to mind. Okay, first of all, if they use the DNA, then why was this new body of angels? Why does it still have archangels' wings?
Hmm, fair point.
Um, and does Logan have adamantium anymore?
That is a very, very good point.
I'm thinking he does if Angel still has the metal Archangel wings, and I'm guessing that Wolverine still has his adamantium. Now, someone on Twitter had mentioned that, oh yeah, and Scott Summers only had one eyeball. I'm not really seeing that. I don't know where they're getting that piece of information from. So, but either way, my point is obviously they didn't just store DNA. To your point, they can obviously program it somehow.
Now, do we know? Because I'm looking at the picture of Archangel. Do we know for sure it's metal? Because to me, it looks like just how they stylized it with being white. It looks feather related.
I agree that the first picture does, right under the, on the
Purple
page,
tree.
where you see that Cyclops is lying on the ground and Professor X is kind of kneeling over him. Basically, very reminiscent of when Cyclops killed Professor X back in Avengers versus X-Men. But in the shot where they're all outside under the purple tree,
Yeah,
that looks
that's what
metal
I'm
to
looking at.
me. I don't
I
know,
can,
that looks metal to me.
and I can see that, but if you look at the feathers that arch in the back that go
Yeah,
into like behind Cyclops' body, they have that like stylization. It looks like it's feather.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
see.
see. But here's my other question. Here, or I guess here's my other. So in my review video, I gave this comic a 9.9, and I said there was just one thing that I didn't understand. And I didn't I just why are they naked?
You know what's funny is I was about to say, could it be that Marvel Girl looks like she's trying to get Twitch viewers?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, come see my Twitch, and here I am with some cat ears. Personal vitriol aside, um, yeah, like okay, they pop out of these holes. They're standing there naked as Professor X and Magneto is talking to them, but then Storm drags them out in front of everybody, and they're still just covered in goo, naked.
Look at
The old
Archangel too. He's coming down
yeah.
like he's risen from.
Oh, he's letting his freak flag fly, buddy. He's hey, here we go. The only reason we don't see Jean Grey's vagina is because of
Nightcrawler's tail.
Nightcrawler's tail.
Oh, it gets even better yet because then they throw them in the middle of the crowd and they're just so.
And let me tell you, okay, I have a lot of I follow we call it X Twitter, I guess, whatever, and it's no mystery, or at least it may not be a mystery. A lot of homosexuals like X-Men for reasons that are completely understandable, and I mean I've seen some of them fantasize about being with Nightcrawler. I mean some really far out stuff, and I'm not here to throw shade on it, but I'm betting they're loving this. because they're always doing, they're always fantasizing and even doing drawings and things like this. So like this is literally like, I don't know, it really just must have been like, hey, let's give them something, because I just don't understand. I mean, there's stuff there for guys too. But yeah, why are they going to have them naked in front of all the other mutants?
Hey, I mean, at least Cyclops has his mask on, visor.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. So he's not completely naked.
Now, speaking of the religious orgy-looking scene where they're literally being grabbed at, which is really freaking creepy, that's the picture that I showed you, that page where it has the two, like, Rasputin-type arms.
Yeah, one looks like it has like 3 fingers, but one of those arms do like they could possibly be from Colossus. But yeah, that you know, we see a lot of X-Men and mutants in that scene, but I'm just noticing some people that are oddly absent. One of them is Colossus, which maybe you can say that's his arm, but Iceman, Bishop, Cable, something's going on here. There are some X-Men that you would think we would have seen so far, and we're not. And I'll talk about that more, I guess, once I give my overall feelings here. So that's the first major thing that happened in this episode,
Whose
or in
arm
this
do you
issue.
think that is in the background?
I have
It looks
who
like,
knows?
is it Thing? Like, what the hell is that?
Oh, the big rock one? I mean,
Yeah.
that could be Rock Slide. There's a mutant named Rock Slide.
Gotcha.
So, Santo is his real name.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to point out that I just totally stumbled across something after the next scene. Under the chart that talks about mutant diplomacy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that they the red over Wakanda?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's maybe signifying something. Potentially.
Well, it definitely could be. And so yeah. So the other big event here is that they're at the UN meeting, and basically the UN has basically voted, or enough countries have voted yes to give Krakoa, its stateship. They are a sovereign nation now. Apparently Emma Frost may have made one of the Russians vote the way that they weren't going to, and Charles Xavier, still in a Cerebro helmet, has yet to take it off, kind of tells her, hey, I know what you did there. And at first she's kind of defensive, but then he's like, good job. So it's, which is strange. And I'm gonna, there's something afoot here. So, but yes, there is, there's actually a lot of data sheets here. A lot. And with a lot of information. I mean, one of them, the one that explains the resurrection's like 3-page long, and it's not like just a little bit of information per page. It's a bunch. But one of these pages basically has a list of countries that have rejected, or at least voted no or against, the mutant sovereignty of Krakoa. And yeah, as you mentioned, Wakanda and about 3 other African nations that are basically saying, hey, Wakanda protects and provides for us, so we're going to go the way they go. In Asia, Iran, Madripoor, and North Korea have all said no for ideological or political reasons.
And see, and that's what's crazy, is the fact that Wakanda just simply says, we don't need your mutant drugs.
Well, and they probably don't. It's Wakanda.
Touche.
So, I get that. Then we have Europe. Interesting. So Russia, obviously. Latveria. Do you know the significance of Latveria?
No.
Okay. All right. That is Doctor Doom's country.
Oh, okay.
That's the country that he is king over, or whatever you want to call it. So that's
which political would make sense then.
Yeah. Doom needs no mutant cures, something like that.
God, I hope they end up bringing him to the MCU.
They should. And they should make sure the Russo. We talked about this on when I was on Superhero Speak about the Russo
Hmm.
brothers doing the Fantastic Four. They should totally do that and introduce Doom into the MCU that way.
Well, Doctor Doom, like significantly, and that I'm aware of is, and none of the movies even remotely, did him right. That in theory, he can easily kick the shit out of Thanos.
Yeah, no, they didn't do him. They didn't do
Like,
him right at all. So
let's
that's
not even
funny
talk
to
about the
see.
Cloud.
Yeah, yeah, the floating Galactus cloud. Um, so yeah, that was cool to see, and then we get another chart here that shows the whole world and the countries that aren't agreeing with this are in red, and all the other countries are in black.
No, you're not going to talk about Deuce Bigelow ex Gigolo over there.
Deuce Bigelow ex Gigolo. Who are you talking about there?
Xavier and his fly ass tux.
Yeah, you're right. It's all black. He's got the vest. Yeah, you're right. Drinking champagne. Still got that goddamn helmet on. I mean, gee, he's got to, I'm telling you, he's got to have the brain thing like the Maker or something, something. Okay, so the next big event here is the fact. So we've seen the mutant amnesty, we've seen Emma Frost, take custody of Sabretooth, bring him back to Krakoa, even though he's a mad killer. But now we see all of the X-Men villains, the ones that are mutants, but anyway, are come to Krakoa. You see Sinister, come in, Exodus. I think Tom Cassidy's with that group, but the big one, Big A, Apocalypse, comes through the portal,
Yeah.
and he comes through like a boss, because as soon as he comes through the portal, he's talking to Krakoa.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. We just learned in the last issue that it's because of Apocalypse that, the Earth was saved. And this is the big, okay, this I'm going to take credit for when Apocalypse is now a full-blown good guy now. In fact, what's funny is that we see some of the worst X-Men villains of all time.
Yep.
They have been given amnesty and forgiveness. But Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, is still denoted as being a big fucking problem for mutants because of M-Day. But nonetheless, either way, so Apocalypse comes through the portal, doves flying everywhere, it's like he's at home. And then Magneto and Wolverine instantly come up to him and be like, listen, so, is this going to be a problem? Basically.
Yeah, Wolverine just straight gets in his face with Magneto.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, because it's Magneto and Wolverine, they're not gonna, but let's not get it twisted, okay? Apocalypse would beat both of their asses. Nonetheless. But Apocalypse explains, and I love this. What's there to fight over? This is what I want. You all are the dominant species now on Earth. You have taken your rightful place. This is all I ever wanted. I just went about it a different way. And, again, Charles Xavier says, okay, great, that's good and all, but we have a set of rules here. We have laws. And Apocalypse says, no, I will follow them. And the last thing you see, something I thought I would never see, is Apocalypse and Sabanur, and rightfully so. They have kind of softened him a bit. We do know through his origin that he wasn't exactly a bad guy. In fact, there's many times he could have killed the X-Men 10 times over, and he never does. So, but straight on, in league with the X-Men now. Now we understand why he's going to be on the Excalibur team. It's not Evan, it is En Sabanur.
It's pretty damn interesting. I'm still wondering, though. We got Mr. Sinister back there, probably with his ruby red shoes, trying to plan something up.
Absolutely. Sinister. Well, and that... So something is afoot here. And I talked about this a little bit on my Twitter, but I said I was going to talk about it more on our show. The X-Men have lost their way. And I say that because I was excited as I was reading this book. In fact, in my review, which is, my reviews I do after like my second read through. So, but usually it's read one, think
Mm-hmm.
about it for half hour, boom, read two, okay, make the video, get it out. Okay, that's my process there. So it is somewhat of an immediate reaction, and I was excited to read through this. Oh, this resurrection thing is cool. I never would have guessed that gold balls would be one of the fucking most important mutants. Oh,
Here, grab
fuck,
my
look at
balls.
this. Yeah. Oh, fuck, look at this. Xavier and Apocalypse are shaking hands. Like, this is cool. But I'm thinking about this. And I
Yeah.
think I mentioned this way back in like House of X #1, where it's like, boy, this really seems more like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants than anything.
We both thought that, but just the way that Xavier was acting.
So I, I'm enjoying this, bar none. Hoxpox, it is great reads. Love reading through them, but but the X-Men to me, they have lost that. The X-Men have always fought for those that hate and fear them, and they have lost that. And I'm assuming that this attitude, whatever you want to call it, this way of them operating, I'm assuming that this is temporary. But there's no guaranteeing that. Is Hickman changing the X-Men mantra? And it's not so, like, I guess I kind of thought that after House of X or Powers of X 6 that
Mm-hmm.
we would get to the way things are going to be, but we're definitely seeing things carry over into those Dawn of X books. you know, I've even seen promotion videos where Professor X still has the helmet on. Or not videos, but images where Professor X still has the helmet on. So I am getting a little bit worried that the soul of the X-Men may be taken away and modified. And it may just be something I need to deal with. But what do you think here?
Honestly, it's a very good question. Looking at what I know the X-Men stand for, even like growing up in my younger days from what content that I did involve myself with, since I wasn't a big comic reader like you, and even the movies did a good job portraying that. The cartoons, the numerous Marvel videos on the internet, just anything portrayed the X-Men was the team that basically saved humans from mutants to
Mm-hmm.
try to show them that not everybody is bad. But then you look at this and you've read, because you keep referring back to House of M
Mm-hmm.
and things like that, and just the numerous different timelines that they created and implemented in the Hoxpox series so far. I mean, let's be honest. Do you really blame them if you look at 10 different lives? 9 of them you try to protect humans and be there and save them, and you all end up basically becoming near extinct. What's the definition of crazy?
Yeah, no, I mean I absolutely agree with you. I've talked about this before, but they have given us justification for sure.
But to your point, they've been known for what, 70 years, 60 years, for the 50s, 60s.
Yeah, it came out in 1964, so we're almost there.
They've
But
been known for one thing, and that's
yeah,
yeah.
Xavier's dream, and so that is a concern of mine. Although Xavier's not popular because of his choices that he's made throughout the X-Men history, the manipulative factor. He's part of the Marvel Illuminati, so I mean, he's not exactly the moral compass anymore. So we'll have to see.
Hmm.
Is this a paradigm shift, or am I right? And is somebody going to say this isn't right? fuck you, Xavier. Fuck this Moira shit. Who knows?
Could
And
be
and
other
that
superheroes.
it could, which we'll talk about that in Absolute Carnage because that has Wolverine in it. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Anyway, um, but yeah, like I said, we haven't seen Iceman, Colossus, Bishop, Cable. I'm sure there are others, and we've
Deadpool.
heard what Deadpool, right? Other than in the Absolute Carnage stuff. And so we know that there are parts of Krakoa, these Krakoan tumors that Krakoa, itself doesn't know about. Are there some dissenting X-Men encapsulated in these tumors that disagree with Charles Xavier and the way they're doing things?
Hmm. Could, yeah, I mean, could be. Just going back to like the chart talking about like Wakanda and stuff. Like, we don't need your mutant, crap. Like, there very well could be rebels per se of mutants that don't agree with us. Um, so I'm curious to see. I mean, we're only what 3 issues away from wrapping it up to see what the hell's going to happen. So something needs to happen quick.
Yeah, until the dawn of X. And think back, so think to the 1,000-year timeline where they're doing the ascension. We
Mm-hmm.
just learned what Cerebro's main function is, which is to
Mm-hmm.
take the memories and soul of a biological being and put it into a computer form. And remember, we saw one of these librarians with a helmet very much
Mm-hmm.
like Cerebro. Is Cerebro basically recycling these mutant souls, and is that and are these hyper evolved blue mutants, do they now contain the memories and souls of the X-Men and mutants in the past? Are they, or is Moira, and again, Moira's got to be alive. She's got to be one of those blue librarians, because if she was not alive, we would not be seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair
um
point.
And so is this Cerebro? Is this how they're going to? And this is where the whole phalanx stuff is starting to make a little bit more sense, because now we know what Cerebro does. We know that in essence it takes a biological mind and converts it into electronic. So is that how they're going to ascend, through Cerebro?
Yeah. And then also like it mentioned too with the whole Krakoa resurrection, like I mean, we from what we knew, Mora only had 10. Could she have been brought back and get a whole another 10 lives? Like there could be a whole bunch of crap that just yeah,
Yep, absolutely. So
upgrade her abilities.
So yeah, I mean, but House of X number 5, we learned that we learn how the X-Men are
Mhm.
able to cheat death
Gold balls.
with gold balls. Oh wait, hey, I gotta, this is strange. I have a call coming through. Now I never gave anyone a phone number or anything like that, but let me, caller ID said this. Sid Eas. I don't know who Sid Eas is. Hello, Sid Eas. You're on Volsker D Square Talk.
Achieve death
Heavy breathing there.
is a power only one has achieved. But if we work together, I know we can discover this.
Oh, okay. Well, he quickly hung up, but we'll know. Sid Eas, feel free to call back again. I'm not sure what your deal is or how you got our number here, but so to cheat death, I know you said we work together, but the X-Men have already figured out, and gold balls is the key. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble there, Sid Eas, but not sure how you called us, but love to hear from you again. Very mysterious, Volsker. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so just let's do a couple of news items before we get into the Absolute Carnage stuff. And by the way, I failed in my mission not to ramble there on the House of X stuff. I still
It's a
took a
very
bunch of time.
important issue though. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, I get fired up about it. What can I say? And there's a lot of shit going on.
yeah.
So, okay, so just some quick news stuff here. I know that I don't watch the CW
Hmm.
because of I don't want to get Smallville again. I don't want to get that sort of a disappointment. But you had suggested that I at least jump on for the Crisis on Infinite Earth stuff, and I definitely think that I'm going to be doing that. Big announcement: Tom Welling from Smallville is going to be reprising his role as Superman on Crisis on Infinite Earth, and the actor's name escapes me. We talked a little bit about this when I was on the Superhero Speak podcast, but the original Flash from the original TV show is going to play Barry Allen Flash again. So this is shaping up to be an awesome, awesome event.
It is, and I wholeheartedly stand by, yes, check it out. And if I were you too, I would go back to, I mean, they're on Netflix. Go back to the last couple of years, because this annual event has been going on since, what was that? I think it was the second or end of first season of Flash. So it's been going on about 4 or 5 years now. Okay. And one thing I'm surprised, listening to you guys talk about that, the original Flash actor has actually been in and out of Flash, but he played Jay Garrett. And then, yeah, you guys basically talked about this is actually going to be him playing his version of Barry Allen from the 90s TV series, which also, by the way, had Mark Hamill as the main villain. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. I mean, so far we're teaming up here. We got, probably 3 different Flashes, because we have Barry currently, that Barry, and then we're probably going to have Kid Flash since he's in and out of the CW shows. Then we have, 4 or 5 Supermen at this point?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be insane. And there's rumors, we were talking about that Hamill and Conroy, and Conroy is going to be the first ever actual live series, actual Batman to a TV series like this. So it's shaping up to be pretty damn crazy.
Well, if it's got me interested in it, then you can, yeah. I mean, I definitely expect it to be crazy, and that's the exact type of stuff I want to see. They're not going to be holding back nothing. We're talking about, because like Tom Welling specifically, from what I understand, is going to be playing the Kingdom Come Superman. By the way, I highly suggest you read that. The Kingdom Come is drawn by Alex Ross, and a really, really cool storyline. And so they're all a little bit older. So like, Superman is still Superman, but he's all gray and whatnot. Batman has to wear like this exoskeleton
Don't
suit.
you have that?
No, I don't. And
or you did, because I remember
I probably did at one point, or it was something that I was borrowing from one of my other comic book nerds throughout the ages, but I do not own that. And in the same vein, there's Earth X for Marvel, which is really cool. But yeah, it's like all the superheroes are older.
That's old fat Spiderman, isn't it?
Earth X, I don't know about fat Spider. I know Wolverine's fat. Like Wolverine's fat, and he's with Jean Grey, and Colossus is Tsar of Russia and supplies the world with its food, which is cool.
Huh.
So
interesting.
Gotta love any series that gives props to Colossus like that. But definitely one you should check out there. It is a classic. I mean, it's outside of any continuity. It's just, we see the older superheroes and the younger superheroes and meta beings are just more plentiful, but they really make some bad mistakes, and so the old superheroes have to come back and deal with them. But it's just kind of cool to see Batman, like, he's not Batman. He's like an old, decrepit Bruce Wayne that has to walk around in a kind of an exoskeleton sort of thing. Because this was like not far after Bane had broke his back. So.
I'm thinking.
He just has all these drones in Gotham that do everything.
Interesting. So I wonder if it would take place almost like in the timeline of where Batman Beyond would exist.
Right, something like that. Yeah, exactly. Now, Batman Beyond won the thing back then, so
Yeah.
Excuse me, we don't, that doesn't take place. But anyway, cool stuff. You should check that out. But yeah, the Crisis on Infinite Earth CW crossover, which again, coming from someone that doesn't watch any of these shows since Smallville, I'm excited, and I'm definitely gonna catch that. So
It's free on Prime.
it's
The Kingdom Come. If you download, it's free on their Kindle app. If you have
nice.
Prime, so I might check that out. Or the book is only $10.
Yeah, I don't. I think we borrow somebody's, but
That looks pretty badass. And I know we've also been tossing around the idea of the what was it? The Blackest Night on the bus. It's sitting there at half off still.
that is the shit.
Yeah, I'm
And
probably
again,
gonna bite next
I'm not
week.
even a big DC fan, but that is the shit. I mean, at first it seems a little bit ridiculous because we're talking about Green Lanterns, Blue Lanterns, Yellow Lanterns, Red Lanterns, which Red Lanterns are cool as fuck. Black Lanterns, and eventually White Lanterns. But it's cool. Because that happened, by the way, that storyline, the Blackest Night, happens while Bruce Wayne is dead. So,
Interesting.
and the thing about the Black Lanterns, I guess Necron is the main Black Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone that has died before, he can basically turn into a Black Lantern. Or anyone that was dead, he can turn into a Black Lantern. So...
Ooh, okay. Now, all right, yeah, I'm probably gonna have to check that out.
Superman died before.
Yeah. So then this takes place during the timeline where Bruce Wayne is dead and all of his buddies and Robins and Nightwings are trying to figure out who's going to fit the role of Batman. Is it that during that timeline?
I think so. Yeah, pretty much.
Like the battle for the mantle or something?
Because I don't think it was when... Because Azrael was Batman after Bane took him out of commission, but this is way after that, so...
Yeah, this was a 10-year anniversary, so right around the same time of Kingdom Come. The Bane one, that was late 90s, early 2000s, because you read that back when I was still in, elementary school.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, check that out.
Which, actually, real quick, from what I've got, and I can't confirm this, so I'm curious. Remember I talked about the White Knight, and they're doing the Curse of the White Knight?
Yeah.
I think Azrael's actually in it. And it's almost like the version from the Arkham game.
Oh, cool. I remember that.
Or the kind of religious, looking cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cool. That's good stuff. Only other news item I have is, of course, and I don't even know if we spend a lot of time on it because I maybe just rage and cuss, but so Sony has basically said, we're not renegotiating nothing. Sony is going to keep Spider-Man, keep him to themselves, and yeah. So, paraphrasing here, of course, fuck off. To me, that makes Sony the bad guy in this whole thing. I still am shaking my head at Feige and Disney, with making Spider-Man so big in their MCU. Now that I know this, in hindsight being 2020, yeah, they should have got him for Civil War, and that's it. I know they really wanted him for Civil War because of the part Spider-Man played in the comic version of Civil War. But at this point, that should have been it. They should have just, okay, yep, there he is, Spider-Man, Civil War, all right. But, so that's all, ladies and gentlemen, just Sony being dicks. And so basically what's going to happen here is they're going to branch off on their own. They're going to make their own Spider-Man movies. They're just not going to mention anything that Disney owns. And it's probably going to make a little bit of money. But I'm sure by the second or third Spider-Man movie from just Sony alone, it's going to tank again. And we're not going to care because we're going to have Fantastic Four and the X-Men in the MCU. So, good luck, Sony. Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, I really can't say much about that. Like, I hold out hopes that something's going to happen, but yeah, it pretty
Same here.
fucking sucks.
Same here. All right. Well, you got anything news-wise or anything else at all before we talk about Absolute Carnage #3 here?
So, something I've stumbled across. So, I haven't really been into the newer Batman comics, but I did decide to jump into the City of Bane arc,
Mm-hmm.
which has led me to actually buying the first couple paperbacks of Volume 1 and Volume 2. Well, I guess the current writer is actually leaving the series after issue 85. And they announced today that they will be replacing him with James Tynion the fourth, which I guess has done Batman in the past. So I'm not sure how I feel about a writer switch right in the middle of a ongoing comic book. They're not rebooting it. He's just picking it up and continuing it.
It'll work out if he completes his story arc before he goes.
Which I'm assuming is City of Bane.
Okay. If he completes that, then it'll be okay. Because the new writer will be able to come in and start the new story arc, and it should be no big deal. If it is happening in the middle of a story arc, though, that's a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
But, it does happen. There are certainly... Now, and to your point, you said it great last week. Yeah, I've got X-Men number 300 on my shelf here. We're probably never going to see a number 300 of anything ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're talking about getting into the hundreds, yeah, there's going to be writing changes during a series. But a writer gets to at least finish his story arc. And without knowing anything other than what you just told me there, I'm going to assume that the old writer is going to get to finish the story arc, and then the new one is going to come on. But yeah, you know what? It is going to be a hold your breath kind of thing, because that writer, he could completely fuck up everything else the previous writer did, can retcon stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that moves forward.
Oh, okay. So I went back to the old article. Originally, it was going to be 105 issues. He is leaving early.
Okay. Well, I can't vouch for the new writer's ability.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a sticky situation. That is potentially going to let you down if, right before the end of a series, another writer comes in there with his own spin, or he may even try to come in and replicate everything he can, but that is a recipe for potential disappointment.
Yeah, well, that also probably means we're probably going to get a reboot here soon. Then, if it was originally 105 issues planned, we're at, 79, I think, just came out last week, so we'll probably have another rebirth coming here soon.
Yeah, probably. Because I know people were really excited when they first did the rebirth, but it has definitely seemed to have lost steam, because when they did the first reboot, for two things were really excited about that issue. In fact, I have it over there, and that's Wally West came back. I know that was not something I was like in tears about, but a lot of people were really, really into that. And then Batman finds the Doomsday pin from the Watchmen, that smiley face with the bullet hole. And so this Doomsday Clock thing has taken forever to pay off. And the whole Batman Who Laughs or Batman Metal, whatever it was called, that kind of seems to have slowed that event down to a crawl. I mean, now it's kind of speeding back up again. I've been hearing good things. But from what I understand, because that Doomsday Clock story has taken so long to develop, it's kind of taken a lot of the breath out of the rebirth, the rebirth reboot. So, yeah, DC, I don't know, DC's got I don't know, they need to retool or something. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if this, yeah, I don't hear Jeff Johns' name a lot anymore, so I don't know if he's just taken a back seat, and because of it, things are starting to fall apart. Or I don't know if DC's trying to be the smartest guy in the room, and which is great, but if no one understands you, then you really can't accomplish much.
Yeah, I don't really know. This is getting a little insane, honestly. So, but at least we can fall back to, what's currently going on. The newer arcs with Hoxpox and then Absolute Carnage, which I think so far has just been two phenomenal series that we don't have really anything else to,
Yeah.
worry about, at least other than your, worry about the potential vision of the X-Men. I don't think we have any issues with writers and shit dropping off and changing crap.
Right. Well, and that's where, I'm going to pat myself on the back because I really got you into this stuff at a good time. Because believe me, it's not always like this. But I think with the achievement of the MCU, I think that Marvel is taking advantage of a lot of new readership, a lot of new interest, and making sure that their shit makes sense. So, or maybe not makes sense. Maybe that's the wrong turn of phrase, but at least is quality stuff and is interesting. Like, of course, Absolute Carnage, which we were on the third issue here. Um, there. So there was a couple of things that we learn in this issue that is really significant.
Mm-hmm.
Although one of them may have been glossed over. But so it breaks down like this, okay? We see that, of course, from last issue, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, gets, carnageized. In fact, he looks like a damn near a spider. He has like 6 arms and, of course, 2 legs. Him and Venom are fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Brock doesn't want to hurt the kid. The Venom symbiote is like, listen, fucker, we have to take care of this kid. Um, the Venom suit, to the protest of Eddie Brock, almost kills Norman Osborn. Uses one of his tendrils to go right through his heart. But as he's doing this, Matt Gargan, the Scorpion, is begging for Eddie Brock to help him as all these Carnage clones are starting to kind of rip him apart like zombies. So Eddie Brock kind of splits away from Venom. Now
It's
they
kind of
have,
like a fucking Iron Man suit. It's kind
yeah,
of weird.
exactly, like Iron Man, exactly, jumps out of the Iron Man suit real quick. Eddie Brock does that with the Venom symbiote. They eventually merge back together, and Venom gets Scorpion out of there, and he takes him to one of the safe houses. And in the safe house, he sees Spider-Man, the
Mm-hmm.
Thing, Captain America, Wolverine, Strange, and Bruce Banner,
Yep.
and of course his son. They're going to start the process of getting the codexes out of each other, but somebody has to stay behind to protect the place while they're in there. And it is decided that that person is going to be Eddie Brock. And Spider-Man, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Eddie Brock, Spider-Man, and Bruce Banner.
Do you recognize anybody missing out of this laboratory?
Well, yes, thank you. The maker had kind of got scared away. The Thing was gonna wallop him. So yeah, the maker has scurried on out there, and it looks like Bruce Banner has taken over his role as the science dude that's going to help him get the codexes out.
But did he actually get scared away?
Yeah, well, that is interesting.
I know.
That is an interesting point.
It was in last week's side issues.
So what went down?
He actually ended up merging with all 4 of the life symbiotes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure we'll see that come into play then.
which makes it interesting because the only other person other than him to do that was Deadpool, which is why they were in the Deadpool versus Absolute Carnage issues, they were calling him a magical unicorn because you don't see that with people. And then all of a sudden, the Maker gets covered with all four, and the children are like sprinting away, and yeah, it got pretty damn insane.
Wow. Okay, so we will definitely see that come into play in the later issues here of Absolute Carnage, and we have 2 more left. So, so significant stuff here. So Spider-Man is, he comes up to Eddie, who's watching over Captain America because Captain America is in one of the chambers. It turns out it isn't Eddie. It is Cletus Cassidy. And so Cletus Cassidy has infiltrated this safe house. His Carnage clones are attacking. And the Venom symbiote within Eddie Brock is like, come on, let's go. Let's do this. We can beat him, And Eddie Brock is just not about it. He is concerned about his child. And so the Venom symbiote says, listen, if you are not willing to do this, if you are not strong enough to do this, I will find a host that is.
Yeah.
And what did I just say? Bruce Banner is here.
Mm-hmm.
So the Venom symbiote promptly takes himself off of Eddie Brock and merges with Bruce Banner.
And Carnage just like, yeah, who the hell is this little nerd supposed to be, as he stabs him?
Right. Which makes him turn into the Hulk. We have a Venomized Incredible Hulk, ladies and gentlemen. Damn.
Yeah, it's gonna be insane.
I mean, I was thinking this was quite hopeless. But if they have a Venomized Hulk, it's fucking on. The heroes have hope.
We are Hulk.
We are Hulk. Yeah.
Which also right there is crazy because usually they go by the symbiote name. They don't usually go by the hero's name.
Right. Not we are Eddie Brock, not we are Matt Gargan, not we are Flash Thompson.
So it's pretty interesting. And there's a couple tidbits too, which did you see the whole imposter Eddie Brock coming?
No, I don't even know how that happened.
Which is weird. So look at the issue where he's looking over the tank.
Right. Which, when I did first see that, I'm like, boy, that's a strange look.
Well, his eye, too. There's no stitches and it's open. I didn't notice that.
Oh.
Because flip it back one more page.
Right.
His eye's shut with the stitches.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I didn't catch that. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. And just one minor detail that I meant to mention, but I guess I just got excited and went over it. So, basically, earlier in this issue, Eddie Brock is trying to convince Spider-Man to leave. This isn't your fight. You don't need to do this. And Spider-Man tells him, no, Eddie, I originally brought the symbiote to Earth, so I have to help. Mm-hmm. And as Spider-Man is saying that, Venom is talking to Eddie, so only Eddie can hear him, but he's telling Eddie Brock, tell Spider-Man that there have been symbiotes on Earth way before he ever brought me. So I don't know what's going to be the significance of that. Mm-hmm. But Spider-Man is running around thinking that he's the reason that the symbiotes ever came to Earth, and he is wrong. They do predate his dealings with Venom, or when he brought the symbiote back from Battleworld back in the 1984 Secret Wars.
Yeah, but say it's Secret Wars, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first one. There's been like 2 since. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there we go. We have a Venom Hulk.
It's pretty badass. Badass.
Do you think Carnage even stands a chance at this point?
I'm curious, honestly, because part of me wants to say no, but he just has so many different like villains under his powers right now. Then you have Hawk will just smash, but then what's going to happen when he has to go up against the Maker with 4 symbiotes on him?
Well, this isn't the MCU Hulk. I will say that the MCU Hulk is depowered compared to.
Good point.
I mean, Thanos is strong, but Thanos would not win a boxing match with the Hulk like he did in Infinity War.
You talking about one punch and he's down?
Just the and then the Hulk is down. That wouldn't happen. The Hulk strength, goes up as he gets more and more angry. So he really doesn't have a limit.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, this has really turned the tables on this whole series for me, because I'm thinking, how are they going to beat? I mean, Carnage is beating the shit out of him in every way, shape, or form. Yeah. But you've pointed out, look at what the Venom symbiote does. So Eddie Brock is the weak link here, because the Venom symbiotes tell him, no, we can do this. We can beat him.
Yeah.
And so obviously Eddie Brock is such a problem that he's left Eddie Brock and gone on to Bruce Banner, the Hulk.
Yeah, because I mean, a couple issues ago, you had the symbiote gun. No, we need to run now. Right now is not our fight.
Yeah.
And then you have this whole issue, like, no, we can stop it. Do it. And then, yeah. Like, it almost kind of seems like the symbiote's actually the good guy and Brock is actually the villain.
Yeah, I mean, they did established in the, symbiote planet stuff that the symbiotes are actually generally good, and that this evil version that once was Venom and now Carnage are an anomaly. But, now with Carnage having the Grendel, powers that definitely, and using these codices to his own devices, has definitely flipped that switch to where, they are certainly pure evil at this point. But
speaking of, I'm glad you said that. So, and I'm curious because, and this is the downfall to having so many comics tie in back and forth and in between.
Yeah.
Kind of, figure out what exactly the timeline is, because some of the most recent issues, he ended up actually taking over one of the Ghost Riders.
And
they showed that if he takes over any kind of mutant or super being with a codice, and it's active during that time, he gains that power. Maybe temporary, but he has it. So you actually see, and the Absolute Carnage was the Vengeance one. He actually kills one Ghost Rider, takes over another, and then he's like making this flaming Ghost Rider motorcycle just out of his symbiote suit and cracking jokes, and then all of a sudden, like, Carnage's head is on fire. Like, and that's when they were like, oh, so I guess I get your powers now too while I'm at it. So I'm curious if that's going to come into play a little further.
I bet you it does. I'm calling it. We're gonna get to see this. So we've got a Venomized Hulk, right?
Uh-huh.
I bet you we get a Carnageized Wolverine, and we're gonna see a Carnage Wolverine versus a Venom Hulk fight.
Oh, holy shit, that would be insane.
They've got to do it. It's writing itself at this point.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Like, now, I'm curious, though. Like, so, you get the codices from Ghost Rider and all these other past. How the hell? I mean, Wolverine, if they get it, you don't have to worry. He'll just heal himself back. But,
right.
Like, trying to get it from the Hawk is almost like, I don't know, like, a very daunting task for them. Like,
Yes,
Yeah,
it
come here. Let me
is.
try to rip your spine out real quick. Oh no, you're angry. Let me wait till you calm
Yep.
down and Bruce Banner's sleeping.
He ain't gonna let you do that. All right, but yeah, good stuff. I did not see that coming. I'm not even sure how Bruce Banner is alive. I'm sure I've missed it somewhere.
No, you didn't miss anything. He got stabbed.
Well, no, like before this, um,
Hmm.
in the Civil War II timeline, or not timeline, in the Civil War II event,
Oh yeah, I didn't read that yet.
Bruce Banner was killed by Hawkeye.
Oh, how the fuck?
Well, because basically Hawkeye's only purpose was to always be paying attention to Bruce Banner, and as soon as he saw him starting to turn into the Hulk, he was ordered
Yep.
by Bruce Banner to kill him. And that's exactly what happens. Like, Carol Danvers is kind of being a dick. That's why I don't like that character. They really made her unlikable. But anyway, so one of the visions that she wanted to prevent was the Hulk, like, going apeshit, and killing a bunch of people.
Oh, almost like World War Hawk.
Right. And so she comes with her crew to, like, confront him, and he starts getting worked up, and he gets a little flash of green in his eye, and then boom, the next thing you see is an arrow going through his head. So I know there was an Amadeus Cho Hulk, but I really don't even know how Bruce Banner is back. I mean, obviously it happened at some point, but yeah. But unless he's here, and he now has the Venom symbiote.
He's gonna kill some motherfuckers up in here.
Yeah, that's going to be a great fight. All right, well, before we end the podcast here, we're going to spend a little extra time. Hey, we're recording on a Saturday night, so we're going to get crazy, and we're going to go a little bit extra here. So let's talk about the next big event that I know I'm going to be covering on my channel, and we'll be talking about here, and that's the Incoming. And what I simply want to do is speculate who do you think is the person that was murdered? Whose hand dripping with blood? Who do you think that is?
Well, let me think about this, because we were talking about it, and this is the one that they mentioned that Hickman will be partially involved with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say, what if it's Xavier?
Okay, you're thinking Xavier. Okay, I think that is, I think it's viable. We've got Cyclops, we have Wolverine, we have Cable, so we've got Jubilee. I mean, we have X-Men involved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you think it's Professor X. I'll tell you who I think it is. Well, okay, I think it's one of two people. I think it is either A, Franklin Richards, or B, his sister, Valeria Richards. So those are children of Sue Storm and Reed Richards. I think that because when I look at all the people that I see on this cover,
Mm-hmm.
you do see all of the Fantastic Four. You also have the mutants. And remember, Franklin Richards is a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've also got Thor, Hulk, Spiderman, Venom, Black Panther. I mean, you've got really almost every corner of the Marvel Universe is represented here outside of the cosmic ship. And even then, I see we have Nova there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I think. I think it's one of the Richards children. And it would make sense that it would be Franklin, because let's face it, Franklin Richards is basically God. So if Marvel may be looking to cleanse itself of these like God level characters, so this may be how they do it. So just some real quick speculation here on Volsker and D Squared talk here. Volsker thinks it could be Xavier. I think that's a good choice. I just don't think I don't know. These people look like horrified, like sad and
Yeah.
horrified. I
I
don't
mean, you
know
even
if
have Odin.
no, no, that's Thor.
Is that Thor?
That's Thor.
Oh,
But
they.
Thor is
Well,
basically Odin now, though. I mean,
but
that's worth to
he's
mention.
old and decrepit looking.
Um, I don't know how decrepit. You could. I think it's Thor though.
But
But yeah.
even Black Cat up in the upper corner.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually, if you look right
There's
behind that
Rogue.
eye, it looks like
Yeah.
Rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rogue's there.
Um, you have the Reed Richards that looks like the dude from The Office.
Yeah. I can't tell who's behind the N though. I think it's Silver Surfer. But
Behind the N, it looks like well, I was gonna say Nova, but Nova's right below him. I don't
yeah,
know.
he's in.
It looks like some spiritual man.
Yeah, he's in the armpit there, Nova. Yeah. So that's
Was it Iron Man's helmet right above the G?
that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're going all out. But yeah, even Venom looks like mortified.
Oh, yeah. Venom's got like the most expressive face on this whole thing.
Him and Ghost Rider, yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
So I think it's got to be somebody relatively important and innocent. So
Fuck, even Spider Gwen? What the hell? Or Ghost Spider? What the fuck?
I hate that character so much, Spider Gwen, and realize I don't even know anything about her. I'm there's too many Spider people. I know she's from a
it is
different
whole
dimension.
arc.
I know. I just
She's actually pretty cool. I just don't like the Ghost Spider name that Disney tried to implement on her. It's
Yeah.
Spider Gwen.
yeah.
Like, it's Gwen Stacy with Spider-Man abilities. It's Spider Gwen.
There you go. All right. Well, that's that. So yeah, just some speculation there as we learn more about the incoming event and this mysterious murder in the Marvel Universe. So we'll definitely be talking about it here on the channel and on Volsker and D Square Talk. I'm pretty sure that's where we're going to hang our coats up tonight. Of course, you can catch Volsker on his YouTube channel. Make sure and go check that out. He's been doing some great reviews of the Hawks Pox and all the various comics that he's been picking up. He's also did an unboxing, which was cool. So check his stuff out. And he's on Twitter, as with everybody, at Volsker. I'm, of course, D Square here on the House of D channel. You can check out my reviews and other various videos that I make. Just reviewed the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Nintendo Switch, so definitely check that out. If you're like me and maybe you don't buy everything on day one and you give everything a little bit of time to simmer these days, as you should, because these day and age, the video game industry will charge you $60 for a piece of shit with no problem, and then they'll charge you to put sprinkles on top of it later, otherwise known as DLC. So if you're like me and you've just don't have a whole shitload of disposable income and really need to pick and choose, and you're saying, okay, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, it's been out, how is it? Come check it on the channel. You can always, of course, get at me at dsquare72 on Twitter. With that, we're going to sign off for the night. Volsker, you have a good one, sir.
Use one.
All right. And, of course, as always, guys, peace and love, and we'll see you again very soon. Have a great one.
Peace, guys.